What's going on, all my toy collectors and Batman fans out there? You know who it is. It's your boy Ox, and welcome to the Cave of Wonders. Now today we're going to be taking a look at the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series 4-pack by Mcfarlane Toys. This set right here features Batman, Harley Quinn, Joker, and Harvey Bullock. And all these toys I got from Walmart. The original price was $99. Right now they're on sale for I think about $55 or $58. I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys, okay? Now these figures right here are just the same DC Direct figures that came out 7 to 10 years ago. Mcfarlane is just re-releasing them. Some of them have different paint schemes, but he's re-releasing them and re-releasing newer vehicles as well. And that's the main reason why I ended up buying these figures right here, so I can display them next to his newer vehicles that he's releasing, okay? Now, I just passed on these because I had the original Kenner 1990s figures, and nothing could ever take their place on my toy shelf down here in the cave. But let's go ahead and crack these babies open and see how they compare to the old Kenner ones. Let's get into it. Okay, now starting off with the front of the box, you guys can see that it has a clear package window showing you all the figures and accessories that are inside. On the bottom, let you know the name of each character that's in here, which is Batman, Harvey Bullock, the Joker, and Harley Quinn. Bottom right, you have that infamous 90s Batman the Animated Series logo right there. Up at the top left, it says ages 14 and up. It's not a toy, even though it is a toy, but it's more for collectors. On the top right, it says DC Direct. So these are the original DC Direct figures. They might just have some kind of different paint scheme because now that Mcfarlane Toys has a license, he's re-releasing these. He's probably doing some kind of different paint schemes on them, like cell shading and stuff like that. All right. Now I've already measured the box up for you guys. It measured out to 14 inches long by 9 inches tall by 3.5 inches in depth. So that's how much shelf space you're going to need if you're going to be displaying this in the box. Right there just says Batman the Animated Series. The same right here on this side. There's the bottom in case you guys need that barcode right there. Any kind of information you guys need. Now taking a look at the back of the box, it just shows all the figures right here, same as it does on the front. It just shows them all on a white background of the box, okay? Now, like I said, I passed on these figures originally, and not because I didn't like them or I thought they looked funny or anything like that. It's just, they're the same figures as the Kenner figures, just taller with better articulation and, better details in the face and stuff like that. And, but other than that, I didn't want to rebuy all these figures and then have to take up a lot of shelf space displaying them when I have the original Kenner ones. And the Kenner ones are my toys. I had those. I played with those when I was little in the 90s. So nothing new that comes out, no matter how cool it looks like this, is going to take its spot. But I do need a couple of these figures in order to display next to that new Joker mobile and the Batmobile that he's going to be releasing, which I might not even pop out the box. But let's go ahead and pop these babies out, all right? All right, now let's start off with my man himself, my boy Batman. You guys can see here's the figure. He comes with 4 extra set of hands. He comes with 2 weapons, his little batarang right here, and then his grapnel launcher, which is actually hooked to a hand right here. So you don't have to try and fit that grapnel launcher into one of his hands. You just end up popping out his hand and sliding this one right in to take its place. All right. Now, I've already measured the figure out for you guys. He measured out to almost 6.5 inches tall, okay? Now, these are not meant to be DC Multiverse, so they're not going to be as tall as the DC Multiverse figures that have the same amount of articulation. Even though they're released by Mcfarlane, they're just, like I said, the same mold as the original DC Direct figures, and that's why they're under the DC Direct banner and not the DC Multiverse banner, okay? Let's take a look at his hands. Now here's his right and left hand, which looks like they're meant to hold a grappling gun or something like that. You see how they have like the finger on the trigger right there? So that looks like what they're meant to hold, but they ended up just throwing in that grapnel launcher, which you'll see in a second that the hand that one comes with doesn't have any kind of blue cell shading on it. So maybe the original DC Direct figure, it had a grapnel gun that you guys can fit inside the hand, but he decided not to throw that in and just make one that has the grapnel launcher already on it. But yep, these are those hands. And then he has 2 gripping hands, which you guys can see out of the box. He has 2 closed fists right there. And then he has 2 gripping hands right here for him to hold something if he needs to, okay? And those also have that blue cell shading on them as well, all right? And then he has a little batarang right here. Half blue, half red. That's pretty cool. And then Right here's his hand for the holding the grappling gun. Like I said, that grappling gun doesn't come out. It's hooked into the hand. But as you guys can see, I think maybe this might have came with a different figure. I'm not for sure. Let me know down in the comments if you guys know. This might have came with his DC Multiverse Batman the Animated Series figure, because I don't see any kind of blue cell shading like it has on these hands right there. So who knows? Like I said, I think this did come with the version that McFarlane had first released, that Batman the Animated Series Multiverse one, and this hand might have came with that figure. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at my boy Batman himself. Taking a look up close, like I said, he measured out to 6.5 inches tall, and he looks amazing. I know that he's releasing the figures on single cards right now. What is it, in like a cool Batman the Animated Series red and red and black looking box based off the old animated series figures kind of, and he has a Batman in there, but I didn't like the way that Batman looked. I'm not sure if it maybe has a soft goods cape, because this one has like a harder plastic rubber cape right here, but I didn't like the way that Batman actually looked. He looked kind of skinny in certain areas, like right up here in his chest, so I just didn't like the way it looked. I love the way this one looks right here, and that's the reason I bought this 4-pack. Like I said, I originally wasn't going to buy it just because I have the original toys from Kenner, and no matter how cool these look, they're not going to replace those figures. But if I'm going to be, making a display for that Joker mobile that he just released and that Batmobile that he released, I need some figures in order to display next to that on my shelves. But this is an awesome looking Batman. I love the way it looks. I know a lot of people are not a fan of cell shading, but I actually really love this. I think it's dope. I love the way that blue looks on the black, and it definitely shows a lot of detail in the figure when you're looking at it, for no matter where you're looking at it on your shelf. All right. You can see that Batman logo right there, nice and shiny. Chest is all gray. Like I said, you can see the cell shading right here in the hands, going down the legs, even down here on the boots and stuff like that. Now, remember, you're not going to get the same amount of articulation you get from his other figures in the multiverse line, but his head does come up about that far, goes down about there, which is basically him just looking straight. His arms do come up. Now, remember, if your guys' toys are, hard to bend, make sure you guys heat them up first, okay? They do rotate around right there. He does have single jointed elbows. They do rotate at the elbow as well. No kind of wrist or forearm articulation right here at the glove, but his wrists do move. They do go in. They do go out. His waist does swivel around, but he doesn't have any kind of ab crunch or any kind of upper torso articulation. His legs do kick up about yay far if you guys need them to. They do kick out to there, which is going to look kind of weird compared to some of the other McFarlane figures. But like I said, this is a DC Direct figure. He's just re-releasing them. Legs do come out to there. He does have double jointed knees. Now, I did have trouble bending right here. I'm going to wait until I'm able to heat this up. So I'm not going to bend it right there, because I know that there's people back in the day said a lot of those DC Direct Batman the Animated Series figures ended up breaking here at the foot or at the arm. So I don't want to bend anything unless I heat it up, okay? No kind of movement right here at the calf muscle towards the boot, but his foot does go up, does go down, does rock back and forth if you guys need it to, okay? Just be careful. Like I said, if you guys feel some tension, make sure you guys heat it up. But yeah, I really like this figure. It looks dope. Like I said, I might have a little bit of trouble fitting him in that new Batmobile with this really hard cape right here. But we'll have to wait and see. I pre-ordered that new Batmobile that McFarlane's releasing, but I haven't got it yet. So I can't actually fit him in there to see how he's going to look, okay? But let's go ahead and pop out one of his hands, and I'll put in that little grappler launcher, okay? And here he is with that grappling gun in one hand, and then this batarang in the other hand right here. Now, as you guys can notice, like I said before, it does have cell shading on these other hands, but it's not going to have cell shading on this hand right here holding the grapple gun. And so it does kind of look funny. I think it's because the way it hooks in to his wrist with that little tiny thing, with that little tiny knob or whatever. So it does kind of look funny in there, but I'm not really going to be probably displaying him with this grapnel gun in his hand. But I'm going to guess that this hand did not come, was not made actually for this figure. I'm going to guess that it was made for his DC Multiverse line, for that Batman figure that he had made. But it doesn't matter. It looks good in there. You're not going to see the cell shading unless you have it turned the other way and you're really paying attention, because he does have cell shading still on his gauntlet right there. But yeah, awesome looking figure. Let's move on to the next one. Now moving on to Harvey Bullock himself, you guys can see we got the figure right here. He comes with 4 extra set of hands, a pair of handcuffs, and 2 donuts right here. Now I'm really excited actually for this figure because Kenner never released a Harvey Bullock figure for the animated series Batman back in the 90s. So I'm really excited that I have this figure right here because I always wanted a Harvey Bullock figure. Now, taking a look at his hands right here. Let's start off with those first. You can see out of the box he has 2 closed fists, and then this figure does not come with a gun, but as you guys can see, it comes with a left and right hand that's meant to hold a gun. So if you guys have any kind of guns from any of the DC Multiverse figures, any other kind of guns that might fit in these hands, it might work really good with these. You know, Mcfarlane can't put you know, guns in some of these figures' hands or whatever with the deal he has with Warner Brothers and the DC license. But you can see that this figure does come with gun hands in case you guys have any extra guns to go ahead and put in there. And then he has 2 gripping hands right here. Like I said, out of the box he just has 2 closed fists, but these ones right here are gripping hands meant to hold those donuts or possibly hold those handcuffs. Okay. Taking a look at the handcuffs right here, lots of really good articulation, or detail, excuse me. They don't open or anything like that, but they also do have a metal chain on them. So that actually does look really cool. So, yep, awesome looking little handcuffs. And then taking a look at the donuts, they're both the same, just one of them's bitten basically. No kind of sprinkles, no kind of cream filling in the middle, anything like that. So don't get too excited, guys. But yep, just some donuts for him to hold, okay? Now, taking a look at the figure up close, I did not measure him out yet, but he measures out to almost 6.5. So he's about as tall as that Batman that we looked at in the beginning. And taking a look at him up close, man, he looks just like he did in the animated series. I love it. Like I said, I know a lot of people have issues with cell shading, but that's not an issue for me at all. This is actually one of the main reasons why I bought this set, besides the fact that I needed a Joker to go with that new Joker mobile. But I'm really excited to go ahead and have him, man, because this is a figure I've wanted for a really long time. Now let's quickly go over articulation. His head does rotate around. He actually only doesn't look up any further than just looking straight, but he does look down pretty far if you guys need him to. So his arms do come up. They do rotate around. He does have single jointed elbows. It is a little bit stiff. I haven't heated this figure up, but his wrists do rotate. They do go in. They do go out. Remember, no kind of forearm articulation or anything like that. No kind of ab crunch. No kind of waist articulation right here, so he's not going to swivel around. His coat is going to hinder his articulation. Now his legs only come up to there. It's not because of the coat, it's just because he's kind of a chunkier figure and it stopped right there. So his legs only come up to there, and they can kick out, but his coat is blocking that. So as you guys can see, they want to come out, but his coat is really hard plastic and it's not going to let him do that. Okay, they do bend just a little bit right there at the knees, as you guys can see, and his feet do only go side to side just a little bit, just because of the bottom of his pants right there hinder that articulation as well. They don't go up, they don't go down, they don't rock back and forth. So that's pretty much it for the articulation. There's not a whole lot on this figure. There's not a whole lot on a lot of these figures, but you know, more than what you got from the old, you know, Kenner's line. I love the coat right here. Let's go ahead and swap out his hands. I'll show you what he looks like holding a donut and with those handcuffs. All right. And here you guys can see after I swapped out his hands, I went ahead and put his cuffs in one hand. I put a donut in another one. Like I said, it would have been nice if he came with like a police badge or like a gun, but you know Mcfarlane can't do that. And like I said, I'm not tripping. I know it's not his fault, but if you guys have any other kind of gun, you guys can fit it inside the extra hand that it comes with that looks like it's meant to hold a gun, okay? But yep, let's move on to the next figure. Now moving on to Miss Harley Quinzel herself. You guys can see it comes with the figure, 4 extra swappable hands, and this little Joker cane or whatever this is, like a little object she uses to blunt somebody. I'm not really for sure, some kind of hammer or something, but it looks pretty cool. But starting off with her hands, you guys can see that 2 are red and 2 are black. Out of the box, you can see that she has one hand that's black and one hand that's red on each side, complementing her suit that she wears. Now, nothing really amazing. There's no kind of cell shading or anything like that on these hands, but you guys can see that she does come with like an open palm hand, a fisted hand right here, and then she has like a gripping hand in order to hold something, okay? Same with the black hands right here, the exact same thing. One gripping hand, one open palm hand, and then one hand that looks like it's meant to actually hold a gun. But like I said, maybe the original DC Direct figures, they were allowed to hold guns, and now that Mcfarlane has a license, he's not allowed to. So And this right here is her weapon, which actually looks pretty cool. Normally, everybody knows that Harley Quinn always has like a hammer or a gun, like a revolver. But right here, she just has this little cane or whatever. And it's cool that it's actually gray down here and then painted up here. It's not just one solid color, that they threw a bunch of different colors in here and ended up painting it. So yep, I'm taking a look at the figure up close. I've already measured Harley Quinn out for you guys. She ended up measuring out to 5 1/4. As you guys can remember, Batman ended up measuring out to 6 1/2. So she is going to be short of those figures, which is an issue because Harley Quinn is meant to be shorter than a lot of the characters in that movie or in that TV show. Taking a look up close, she looks beautiful. I love her face paint. I love the way it looks. I love all the different little paint details, even right here where it looks like white inside there. I love her lipstick, her eyes, everything looks really cool. Now, I can see a little bit of paint issues right here where it looks like the figure was originally painted maybe all red, because you guys can see some red right here in that right around her little white neck collar right there where the black is. So maybe the figure was painted red, then they painted this black and this black down here. But no big deal. It's not a huge thing for me. You have to just look really close in order to see it, okay? And then you guys can see some paint right here, but I think this is just meant to be the cell shading, because you guys can see that everywhere. If you guys have this set, let me know if you guys have that too, or maybe some paint dripped or something, but that actually looks like it's the cell shading, because you guys can also see it like right underneath her breast right there, okay? Now, she definitely is screaming Batman the Animated Series, so I have no complaints with how she looks. The only thing that I notice is she's really hard to stand. It could be these really small boots right here on her feet, the fact that she really has small legs, and then her leg is a little wobbly on the left side. You shake it and you can see it's really wobbly, so that's gonna cause me a lot of trouble trying to stand this figure up. But luckily I have so many of them DC Multiverse stands that I ain't gonna have any trouble standing her up, okay? Let's go over the articulation real quick. Her head does look up about yay far. She does look down pretty well. Her arms do come up. They do rotate if you need to. They do have single jointed elbows, but they do rotate at the elbows as well. No kind of forearm articulation, but her wrists do move. They do go in, they do go out. No ab crunch, no waist swivel, anything like that. But her legs do kick up, which, like I said, it is going to kind of look kind of funny right there because of how these figures articulated back when DC Direct first released them. Does kick up pretty far if you need to. She does have single jointed elbow or single jointed knees. They don't rotate right here like they do at the elbows right there, so you're not going to get them to rotate at all. But her feet do rotate back and forth. Now I can't see the articulation down here in the foot part of her shoes, so it does look like it bends down and it does bend up and it does kind of rock back and forth, but I'm not sure if that's just like a little tiny knob like here in her wrist when you pull those hands out. I'm not sure if it's maybe something like this in her foot right there that's making it able to just bend a little bit if you guys need it to. But I have had a lot of trouble trying to stand this figure up. But just like the original Kenner Harley Quinn, it's really hard to stand that figure up as well. So once you get it in one spot, you got to make sure you don't knock it over, okay? And I'll do that comparison at the end of the review. But yeah, awesome looking figure, man. And I had to show off my hats back there. My Harley Quinn hat, that's actually a glow-in-the-dark hat. And then my Joker hat, which I'll show you guys at the end of the review because, I love my hats. Let's move on to the Joker. Now, last figure in this set, we have my boy Joker right here, the Clown Prince of Crime. You guys can see it comes with the figure, 4 extra set of hands, and then he comes with this little clown laughing fish right here, okay? Now, I'm a little confused by these hands because 2 of the hands look like maybe they're meant to hold like cards or whatever, because as you guys can see out of the box, he has like fisted hands, but they're also open so you guys can fit something inside of them. But these ones right here look like they're meant to hold like one of his playing cards, like a Joker card or something like that. Almost kind of like shooting hands the way the finger is, but I think these are meant to hold some kind of card, which he didn't come with one. And then these 2 hands right here looks like he's meant to hold a gun, because you guys can see the trigger finger right there, the way that looks. Obviously, like I said before, these figures aren't going to come with any kind of guns because they're released through Mcfarlane. But that's what these hands look like they're meant to. So if you guys have any extra kind of guns that are more cartoonish looking, you guys can go ahead and fit those in his hands if you guys need to, okay? And then this right here is his little laughing clownfish. If you guys remember the animated series, a lot of his fish ended up having like that smiley face on them and stuff like that. Taking a look at the figure up close, I've already measured him out for you guys. He measured out to exactly 6 inches tall. So he's a little bit shorter than Batman, but he is taller than Harley Quinn, which is good because Harley Quinn is meant to be, you know, shorter than him or whatever. But taking a look at him up close, he looks really good. Out of all the figures, I'm happy to get Harvey Bullock because I wanted him for my collection. But I'm really happy with this Joker. I'm going to be using this Joker to display with that new Joker mobile that Mcfarlane just released. Look at that face. Let's go ahead and look at it up close. I love the teeth that they went ahead and did his teeth like that yellowish color, not like bright white like his face or anything like that. I love the way his eyes look, all the black cell shading right around his eyes. The green right here in his hair, they didn't just paint all his hair green, they did it black with like that green look right there in the front. That's really dope. I'm really happy with these figures, actually. I'm glad I ended up getting these for the price that I did. Let's go ahead and go over the articulation real fast. You guys can see that his head does go down about that far. It doesn't really go up. He just basically looks straight, but it does rock side to side and go all the way around if you guys need it to. His arms do come up. They do rotate. You guys can see a little bit darker paint right there. That's that cell shading that everybody's been talking about lately. And his arm just fell off. Well, it didn't break. It just popped right out of there. So, oh, okay, it popped back in. Probably me rotating it too much, but his arms, do rotate right up here at the elbow. He does have single jointed elbows. Wrists do rotate. They do go in. They do go out. He doesn't have any kind of ab crunch, no kind of upper torso articulation, and it doesn't swivel right here. It does. There we go. All right, excuse me. It does swivel if you guys need it to. It's just really hard. I think it's because of his coat, the way it goes all the way down. And you see it's kind of clamped in here, right here at his waist. So that kind of prevents him from moving. But he does rotate. He does have it there. You're just going to have to push it to try and get it out, okay? Legs do kick up like that. God, that articulation looks horrible. But they do kick up like that. They do come up about yay far right there. Does have single jointed knees, and his feet do rotate side around, you know, side to side basically, but they don't go up, they don't go down, they don't rock back and forth or anything, okay? So that's probably why on the box it says 14 and up. These are not toys. These are just meant for basically collectors to display. I don't know why his arm popped off again. Get in there. There you go. It didn't break. It just keeps popping off. Must just be loose joints or something like that. But that might be possibly why, you know, these are, you know, considered just collectibles. They're not toys because, you know, you start moving these around too much, pieces are going to start falling or whatever. Now, I did hear a long time ago that there was QC issues with a lot of those, a lot of these DC Direct figures. So maybe that's the issues that they were talking about. If you guys have those figures, let me know down in the comments because I never collected those figures until I just bought this set right here, okay? And there he is holding his little clownfish right there. Like I said, that hand does look like it's meant to hold a gun, but it holds that clownfish just fine, okay? Well, yeah, man, let's go ahead and do a couple comparisons of the old Kenner figures, all right? But I also want to point out my Joker hat back there because, like I said, I'm a hat collector and I love me some hats. So I thought I'd go ahead and throw that in there because he's wearing all purple and it's a purple hat. Let's move on to the comparisons, all right? Now, here's all the figures in that box set you guys can see in the back. I just wanted to show you guys what they all look like in scale next to each other. Like I said, Batman and Harvey Bullock ended up being the tallest. The Joker's a little bit shorter. And as you guys can see, Harley Quinn is the shortest out of all of them. And then right here in the front, you guys can see all of the original Kenner Batman the Animated Series figures. So I just wanted to do a quick little comparison and let you guys see the difference between, you know, what used to be and what is right now. And obviously things are always going to get better. And, you know, sooner or later, 10 more years down the road, I'm sure they'll make some more of these, you know, Batman the Animated Series figures. And they'll probably look even better than the DC Direct one right here. But still, I love my Kenner, you know, my old Kenner Batman figures. They're just amazing to me. I love the way these things look on the shelf. And there's so many different vehicles that I love to display from that cartoon and from those figures and toys that had came out that, you know, the DC Direct, I think they just came out with the Batmobile, the Batcycle, and the Batwing. But I love all the vehicles that they had, that Kenner had came out with back then for all these different toys right here. You guys can see the same Joker suit right here, even that hair right there. Let's take a close look. Even the face and the hair, you guys can see the green right up here at the top, and you guys can see the green in there, and still that same Joker menacing face, the same color little spray palm flower right there, same little bow tie and everything. So they definitely showed a lot of love back then with the Kenner line as far as making them look just like they did in the cartoon. But as you guys can see with sculpting nowadays and, you know, how they do paint and everything, these figures just look far more superior. But like I said, I played with these when I was little, so they're not going anywhere. They're in my cave because, you know, that's the great part of collecting is it doesn't matter what other people like in your collection. It matters what you like, what you love. These might look completely awesome to everybody else, but to me, these are superior. These are what I love, and these are what I played with. These are my childhood. So when I come down here, I get excited because I see these toys right here. Now, taking a look at these Harley Quinns, as you guys can see, it's basically almost the same figure besides really good paint work on this newer one right here where it shows the eyes and everything. But as far as the feet go and everything, it was always really hard to get this figure because it only has one pose. Once you stand it, it's going to stay. But, you know, you actually hit your cabinet or hit your shelf or whatever you had these on or displaying these on, this figure will fall over. It's probably going to be the same with this one, but I'm going to go ahead and put a display stand in it. And her hand was kind of set in one, you know, you couldn't bend them at the elbows or anything like that, but there was a little what was it, a boxing glove that hooked onto her arm that if you push the button, it ends up like punching outwards or whatever. But other than that, man, still basically the same looking figure, man. So like I said, they didn't come too far with it as far as anything else, but the paint work and the extra little articulation does go a long way. But yeah, man, let me know if you guys picked up this set or you guys are debating on picking it up. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. Like I said, it is a really cool set for only $50-something. And if you guys are just getting into collecting these figures, you know, that's a pretty good start right there for that price range. Like I said, nothing's beating my Kenner figures, so these ain't going nowhere. But at least I'll have a couple figures to display with that new Joker mobile that Mcfarlane is releasing, all right? If you guys liked the video, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Until next time, stay cool.